Let's talk about calendar supremacy. We have the Julian and then we have the Gregorian. Now, what that did is like a blade of the empire cut the breath of earth. So once time pulsed with the rhythm of the stars, the inhale and the exhale of Gaia's dreaming, all anchored around eternal living source energy. And these were anchored in solstice, in the still point gate. That is when the dragon light would breathe again. Now, dragon is a carrier wave of eternal living light from source. But however, in 45 BCE, so we say, and 1582 CE, sacred breath time was overthrown. So you see, the most intriguing fact of this is we have it weaved into stories. Yuletide has become a story in one culture and it's called something else in another culture, but it was the 12 nights after solstice that is winter in the north and summer in the south. Now, at one point, that holy interval breath between the solar exhale and the north's inhale were torn totally from the wheel. So that breath was severed from source. January 1st was then forged. It was forged through taxation and control and was totally, completely installed as a false beginning. And this is why so many of us are like, yeah, that, right, exactly, just of course, you know. So no longer did time spiral from the cosmic stillness and from the earth's beauty, but from an imperial empire script that was stamped down. So we had the Gregorian scaffold that totally descended. It was a calendar. We have a calendar. It's not of light, a living source, breath, but of domination. And it fractured memory. Memory was removed from rhythm, memory from the body was removed from the source, energy, the breath from the dragon. Now, breath can't be owned though. So the time truth is that it's not linear. The year does not begin because a system says so. Now, we are in a time when we do have a system that says so, but that's not real. The true year begins when the trinity of breath stirs. Let me share some of those deeper levels of which I've remembered through the lineage of frequency in which I carry. You have the inhale of the winter solstice in the north. You have the exhale of summer solstice in the south. So it's a still point, a solstice point. Now, then you have a 12-day harmonic interval of December 25th to January 5th to 5th and 6th. That is a harmonic spiral of complete and total integration and alignment. The seed interval that is weaving between the worlds. It's not a countdown to anything. And it's definitely not a calendar made in a box. But it's a reweaving of the body, the earth, and oversoul, which is the stream that we carry as connected to eternal living source. And it's done through this scalar sound of what coherence is, alignment. So the epiphany, religious-wise, was written over that 12th night. And so it's not what it means in the religious sense either. But what it is on that 12th night, it's a braid of all that's becoming. So the living eternal source and the breath in which you carry becomes harmonic. The moment where the year is, we're not resetting a year, but we're remembering forward, which is very different. But the cool thing is that you can't stamp out truth. And so that breath has still held in some way. Now, what the empire forgot, and others have remembered, and we're all remembering many things. This is just one sharing of which is connected to this, but the Chinese New Year was born of moon and connecting into the soil of earth, we could say, and it holds the memory of astral breath and elemental truth of what is. So it arrives on the first new moon after solstice. So it's sometime in the Gregorian calendar that says it's January 21st and February 20th. And that isn't arbitrary, but it's actually attuned to a time frame. Not to mention it's connected in the 12 animal glyphs. And those are not just weird folk tales. These are scalar truths. These are dragon coded memory keys, and they hold echoes of primordial resonance. And many of us feel this, right? So we're resetting for 12 days and then we move into that time frame, which again is at a specific window, aligned to the cosmic rhythms. Now, it survived because it honored the spiral, not the line, the linear time. Listened to the true animal and the element that was really wrapped around the truth, and also is seated with the soil, with the season, and with our souls. And so while it's not the only true system, it's one of the very, very, very few that still breathes those truths into form. So we speak now through, if we bring this into a frame, the druid line, the breath keeper lineage of memory. And this memory through me has come through that, time is not a cage. The year begins when breath becomes a song in our hearts and our souls once again, because that spiral lives in us. And so let the dragon breathe again. Let us reweave the world, not with these calendars on our walls that don't make any sense. We can be in that, but we can be in this other world too with coherence. And we don't have to do it through like holding dominion over our heads, but more so we devote ourselves to reclaiming all of this. So the new year, it's not a date. It is actually a remembrance that happens from within.